Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you our Week 8 fantasy football starts, streamers, and fades. We're here to help you make all the right decisions on who you should keep in your lineup, who could help you in a pinch, and who you need to be concerned about this week. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow.
Hit that drop. Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin. That is Kyle. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Week 8 is here already, Kyle.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how this is possible, but we are here to help you win that championship. And today we're hitting you with the starts of the week, streamers of the week, and fades of the week, or we like to call streamies of the week. Check out yesterday's episode where we drop that in there towards the end, but
it's so streamy.
It's so streamy. But also check out our waiver wire pickups for week 8, as well as that Thursday night matchup that we just did yesterday. So click the link in the corner or in the description below for those. Kyle, what you got for me, sir?
Hey, click that like button, drop a comment, guys. Let us know what your start sit questions are. We are always here asking. Do you need assistance? And we're more than happy to provide it, guys. We've been helping a few people out with start sit questions, drops, trades, all kinds of different things. It's been a lot of fun. We love doing it. We love helping you.
Yes.
We're hoping that we can help you get championship. That's right. We want to get you there, guys. So let's make sure that we, give us some feedback. Let us know what's up. Let's dive in headfirst into the shallow end and get started here. We're going to run through these kind of fast, hopefully. Try to get through this a little bit fast. Let's talk about starts of the week. Here's our top starts of the week. We're not saying these are the only guys you should start, but hey, if we had our druthers, we would have these guys on our team. So here we go. QB, who's your start of the week? QB.
Go ahead and point right over your right shoulder.
He's right there. Wait, here we go. Wait.
All right, Aaron Rodgers. They're going up against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings D is not the Vikings D of old. I mean, this year has definitely shown that you can put up some points against them, and they're giving.
Last year it was the D that was old. This year's the D that is not the D of old because it's really young.
It's a new D.
It's a new D.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this new D is giving up the 7th most points to opposing quarterbacks.
Like a magazine?
Nudie magazine day. But all right. Also, Aaron Jones should be back.
It's late.
It is late.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones should be back this week. I mean, I don't know if you heard this, but he's unbelievable at catching the ball out of the backfield. So that should, be able to gather up some chunk yards here.
If you didn't know that, write that down. Just to be safe.
Yeah, just to make sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But week 1, Aaron finished as the second best fantasy quarterback, and that was against these Minnesota Vikings. He had 364 yards and 4 tutties. I'm thinking he's going to have something very similar to that.
Oh, he loves to beat up on them, man. He loves to beat
up on them. So
I like watching it.
Yeah, that's my quarterback. Who do you have as your start of the week for quarterback?
Hey, I'm going back with Patty Mahomes because they're playing the Jets, and the Jets are the worst. That's right, guys. Mahomes is starting to hit his stride, and he's going to come up against a team. Look, he didn't play in the last 7 minutes of last week, and he's still leading most leagues in points right now. That's pretty darn good. And he gets to beat up on the B League here, the high school team that's managed to play in the NFL some reason.
Man, I really wish you would tell me how you felt about the Jets. I really wish you would sit down and tell me.
I mean, I can say stuff like that because I'm wearing green, which kind of makes it look like I might be a Jets fan. If you just if we just cover this part, just block that out.
I've been trying to do that for a while.
Yeah, you've got a piece of paper over my my image. It's like it just shines through though. It's so hard.
So shiny.
So look, this is going to be another blow up week, I think. Yep. And I think you can bank on him probably playing most of the game. Actually, I think that's really actually possible. I don't think this is going to be like last week where the issue became one where it was a bit of the weather. That was part of the reason that they took him out. I think that this week it's more likely that he's going to play the whole game. Jets are not terrible against QBs, and that's part of the reason why. But this is like they're not terrible against QBs because they're just kind of all around terrible on defense. And so In other words, they are
The worst.
That's right. I've worked that drop in a bunch already, but it's a wonderful drop. And so Pat Mahomes, go get him.
Yep.
Get it. All right. So running back, what you got?
Yep. At running back, I have Derrick Henry going against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a great chance for a bounce back after a tough week against the Steelers. I say a rough week and a bounce back. He still finishes a top 12 running back.
Yep.
You're just used to seeing top 5 running back performances out of Derrick Henry. The Bengals, kind of like how you just mentioned when it comes to Jets against quarterbacks, they're not terrible against the run. They're right there in the middle of the pack when it comes to giving up points to running backs. But I mean, Derrick Henry, he's locked in for 20 plus touches each and every week. And I think this is just another week that they're going to start with him, run it through him, start up some, open up some, downfield passing and everything like that.
Yep.
Off the play action. That's what I was trying to say. That little play that they do.
The one where they try to hand it off.
Yeah.
Kind of play.
And then they fake it. Yeah. Those sons of guns.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Who do you
sandbagging son of a I'm going with Dalvin Cook at Green Bay. So I don't like that. I hate that one, but you know what? In our keeper league the last 2 years, I've had Dalvin Cook on my roster, and Green Bay's proved profitable in both instances. And I'm going back to the bank on this one here, guys.
Yep.
Green Bay has allowed the second most points to the running back position this year. Fantasy points, not regular points, but fantasy points. Cook should be healthy. The offensive coordinator, Kubiak, is already saying it's going to be great to have him back out on the field for practices and stuff. So he's insinuating, hey, he's going to be out there. He's not saying he's going to be out there, but he's insinuating it. But I would temper my expectations just a small amount, because the Packers have kind of been able to shut him down a little bit. At critical moments when they know that that Dalvin Cook is going to be the one getting the ball, they've really been able to shut him down the last season and a half now, the last 3 games. That's not to say he hasn't already gashed them most of the game going up to that point. But yeah, and here's another caveat I've got for you. Is that most likely they're going to be playing from behind. They may decide at some point they want to get out of this game as quickly as possible, and so they'll just run and run and run. That's possible. This team is tanking for Trev, and they realize that Kirk Cousins is terrible, which we've been saying for a while. So there we are.
I like lot of money tied up to the quarterback position if that's the case.
Yep.
Yes.
So, yep.
All right. So wide receiver. I have Tyreek Hill versus the New York Jets, and we're gonna.
I'm gonna wear out that spot. I need to move that on my screen, so it's like every time I tap it, it's like I'm gonna put a hole in my screen.
Easy, killer. You got to pay extra for that. All right, so I think this is the game that Tyreek Hill finally surpasses that century yardage mark. He has not hit over 100 yards.
But he's been in the top 12 like every game this season. It's insane.
It's insane. That's what I mean. He's due. Yeah. He's due. I mean, like, he's not due for another big game because that's what he's been doing. He's just due for those over 100 yards.
He's due for like a top 2, top 3 performance. That's what he's due for. He's got a couple. He's got a couple of them this year.
But the jury's out on if Sammy Watkins is going to play in Week 8. That's still kind of up in the air. Haven't really heard much about the hamstring issue. And
you can't trust lizard people. It doesn't grow back the same.
You just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, you already mentioned how great the Jets are against, anything. And I have a little comment in here. I say insert sarcasm, and it's
you don't have to. You said Jets, and you said something nice. So you don't have to actually.
I don't have to say that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
I think at this point they've kind of figured it out. Yeah.
Who is your wide receiver starter?
Wide receiver. Well, you called for Aaron Rodgers, and you've mentioned Aaron Jones. Where do you think I'm going? I'm going with Davante Adams against Minnesota. This man beat him up last time. It was disgusting what he did to them. I thought it was beautiful. But look, Minnesota has allowed the second most fantasy points to the wide receiver position this season. So this is going to be an interesting game because Green Bay can't stop the run and Minnesota can't stop the pass. Right. And one of those tends to score a little faster than the other one does. And so I think that it's better to not be able to stop the run than it is to be able to stop the pass.
Right.
So anyway, look, he finished as wide receiver 1 overall in week 1 against this very same defense. So look, Aaron Jones is only just coming back, so I'm kind of tempering my expectations with him. I think that they might try to ease him back in, but I think they also held him out an extra week a little bit. And look, Adams has dominated in games that he's healthy, and Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing a career high in interceptions. So this season so far. And so I think that this is a smash play. You know it. If you've got Davante Adams, you know it. You've got the wide receiver 1 probably on your hands this week. So go for it. What do you got on tight end?
Tight end. This is a guy, I haven't really talked about him that much recently. I would love to talk about him more. And that's George Kittle going into the Seattle Seahawks. Go ahead and hit me with that.
Oh, yeah. Nice. George Kittle.
Nice. Seattle is decent against tight ends, but it's not like they've been really going through a murderer's row of tight ends. I mean, last week it was against good old Dan Arnold. Of the offseason, fantasy darlings out there. And he hasn't done anything. No. But one thing Seattle has done well, and that's give up points in real life. That Seattle defense is kind of like I was talking about the Vikings defense. This is not 12th man out there.
Nope.
This is not the defense of old. They're giving up 30-plus points every single week. And Kittle's target share is probably going to go up even more. Deebo Samuel's out again. I mean, Deebo, we love Deebo.
Deebo!
Yeah, Deebo.
But he is expected to miss some more time within injury as well. So his target share should go up with George Kittle, and I think this is going to be another good week for him.
Yep.
Bit of a bounce back for him. He only had 55 yards last week, no touchdowns, which is, pretty darn good for tight ends this year. But I think
this year,
game. Yeah, this game is going to be good for him.
Honestly, if you're getting like 50 to 60 yards without a touchdown, you're getting a great performance out of your tight end. It really is. Like I recommended, I think, Hayden Hurst last week because Detroit, even though they were one of the top defenses against tight end, they hadn't faced anybody worth considering. Right. I was like, he should be able to get 50 plus yards. And then I think he put up like 65 yards and no TD, but that's a good play. I'm going this week. I'm going with Jonnu Smith actually at Cincinnati. Okay. Again, Cincinnati, they allow third most points to the tight end this year. And the reason I'm bringing up these sort of stats is that we kind of know at this point in the season what these defenses really are. They've seen enough. We've seen enough. We know what they're doing. Jonnu Smith is a very big part of this offense, and I think that he's going to have that bounce back that GMs who have him are looking for. His targets are probably going to creep back up to his average, which is around 6+. And that's what I'm thinking he's going to get. The last 2 weeks, last 2 games, I think he's only had like 2 targets in each game. But the ones before that, he was getting somewhere around 6, 7, maybe 5 here and there. And so he is a target hog in this offense. He gets his, and I think they're going to go back to it. The last few weeks, they've not really played well, right? And so I think that if they assess themselves and see what they're doing, they're not targeting the tight end enough to be able to make play action work. A.J. Brown did have that big touchdown last week. And that was huge. But I think that doesn't distract enough for the run game. And the run game really works off play action. They love that. They love having that run game working. And so I think Jonnu Smith is one of those guys who's a big beneficiary of that. Yeah. All right, so let's move on here to our streamers. Get all streamy up in here, right? And that's so bad. It feels wrong. All right, so here, let's talk about guys that you can start. You can pick up off your waiver wire. We're going to restrict, like we do with our waiver wire episode, to under 60% rostered in Yahoo leagues, just as our general rule. Double check for yourself whether or not guys are rostered, okay? But these are guys that we think that you can pick up and utilize this week. We're not saying keep them. And we've been talking several times this season about QBs being a rotatable position for having a guy who's your consistent starter and a guy who you're streaming as a roster spot, just in case your starter, your regular starter gets his game moved or canceled or thrown on bye suddenly, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So QB, what you got? Streamer.
Speaking of feeling wrong and sounding wrong, this one is I got Derek Carr going against the Cleveland Browns, man.
I called for the pickup.
I know you did. I know you did. I was cheating. So I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and dip my toes in. I'm gonna see how it feels with the Derek Carr sweepstakes here.
Yeah.
He finished as a top 12 QB last week, and that was going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them? Have you heard of their defense?
No.
They're
trash, right? They haven't been doing well against good teams.
No,
not at all.
Speaking of great teams, the Cleveland are giving up the 9th most points to opposing quarterbacks. I think that goes in his favor, and Carr is getting his weapons back, and they're coming back healthy. Another healthy week of Henry Ruggs, and hello, welcome back, Nelson Aguilar. Where were you at? Philadelphia Eagles dropping all those passes. So, I feel pretty good about Derek Carr this week, and possibly moving forward, like you said.
Hey man, that schedule looks great. I think that other than I think he faces Miami one week, which has been tough for QBs.
Yes,
he faces Indianapolis one week. That's really tough, and then the championship week. Don't plan on starting the dude. It's going to be a bloodbath against him. Don't do that. So he can stream and get you to the championship potentially. All right. So for QB, I'm going to keep it easy, keep it quick. I'm going with Teddy Bridgewater versus Atlanta. He's 44% rostered right now. So he is available. For me, this is a streamer pickup. I would say Derek Carr is a pick up and keep kind of guy. But look, Atlanta allows the most fantasy points to the QB position in the league this year. By a long shot. Okay. So second in the league is like a point behind them per game. Third, the Chargers, is 5 points per game behind them to the QB position. So fire up the QB against Atlanta. It's like pick your survivor against the Jets and pick your QB against Atlanta. That's how it works in 2020. Okay, guys.
I think I might just do that moving forward when we go to streaming, as long as they're not been rostered in 60% or more. I'm just
when we're preparing our notes, we're gonna be like, I gotta get there fast so I can pick whoever has Atlanta.
We're gonna get you, Kyle.
I'm just gonna make our outlines for the rest of the year.
How dare you?
Whoever is against Atlanta. All right, so let's move on here. Tight end streamer. We're trying to help you figure out who you can slot in on a weekly basis here with tight end. What do you got?
Tight end. It's a tough one. Austin Hooper going against the Las Vegas Raiders. So going against the other side of it here, 48% rostered. Now, don't be fooled by what Harrison Bryant did last week in week 7. I think that would have been Austin Hooper if it wasn't for the fact that he was out for appendicitis all of a sudden. So I think that is why Harrison Bryant went off whenever OBJ went down with injury. I think that was supposed to be Austin Hooper. And this, of course, is dependent on the fact that, Austin Hooper's practicing and if he's going to play, of course. I'm not going to tell you to stream him if he's going to be out another week. I'm hoping that he is going to be back in time. And I already mentioned this. OBJ is out.
If he's not back, would you recommend Harrison Bryant?
I think I would, just one more time, because I think it really does turn into Austin Hooper being very relevant.
I know. I'm just saying for this week alone. I think that this is a good opportunity going forward, period, just because of the loss of OBJ.
Yes. Moving forward, I would say Austin Hooper, but if he's out this week again, Harrison Bryant is a pretty good pickup. It's just rookie tight ends. We've mentioned this constantly. It's just really tough to really count on that. Yeah, it really is.
But you have to pay attention here, guys. This is a good spot. Even if Austin Hooper doesn't play this week, it's a good pickup because there's a ton of vacated targets in that offense now with OBJ gone. And where are they going to go? I mean, they're talking about Rashard Higgins, I think, who could be a good pickup. He did okay. But I don't know. There's a reason that he wasn't out there regularly beforehand.
Who's your so tight end?
I am going with Richard Rodgers versus Dallas. He is 10% rostered. He was picked up and started against me last week in our league. So Justin and I face each other this week in our league, actually. We say that we face each other, but mostly I'm just going to brutalize you. So you won't be able to pick up Richard Rodgers and throw him in.
Clip it.
Write that down.
All right. So Dallas allows the 8th most points to tight end this year. Ertz and Goddard are both out again this week. Jalen Reagor should be back. And Fulgham has been dominant. I say Jalen Reagor should be back, but he's actually not been activated for the full roster yet. He is still actually on IR, but he's not been put on the 53-man roster. So it's possible they're just going to hang on to him, kind of see how these next few weeks go. Yeah. And I think it's possible that they decide maybe to shut him down if it looks like they're just going to keep on losing. It's possible, especially with Fulgham healthy and doing well. Dallas defense may be the overall worst defense in the league this year at this point. They are an absolute trash fire. And
I scored. Did I break it?
I expected nothing less coming from a Mike McCarthy team. I really, truly didn't. So, all right, let's move on here to defense streamers. What do you got?
This one's getting kind of tough when it comes to streaming defense because you
It
stole
is.
the other one. But this one is, you're looking at defenses that are not rostered in 60% or
Yeah,
more leagues.
that's tough.
So I have Tennessee Titans going against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm kind of going back to the well on this one. But they had a rough matchup. The Titans did last week against the Steelers, and yet they still came up with 3 interceptions. So I think they're going to try to do things to try to fool and put a lot of pressure right up the gut against Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And I think if they could pressure him against that terrible offensive line, I think they're going to do really well against him.
I just want to warn, he's had a lot of practice throwing off his back foot lately. So
he has had a lot of practice, but it's also one of those things where, there's only so much that you can do off your back foot until it really starts to come back and bite you. And as a rookie, this could be that matchup. Yep. Who do you have?
All right. I am going with Green Bay versus Minnesota. They are 20% rostered, which kind of blows my mind because they've been a pretty solid defense this year, but I don't know where they kind of rank right now. Minnesota's offense has allowed the 9th most fantasy points to defenses this year, which is really good. That means they are turnover prone. That ain't just they're giving up sacks. They're giving up sacks and they're giving up picks and they're giving up fumbles, all the fun stuff, right? Yep. Green Bay has been decently opportunistic this year. And so they've got a decent number of sacks, a really good number of sacks. That's really where their strength lies. And they've got a good number of takeaways, but nothing to write home about. So sacks is where they've excelled, but the INTs are going to tick up here. And the reason I think that they will is that they should be getting Darnell Savage back and they should be getting Kevin King back. These are guys who shore up the defense on the outside so that the guys in the middle are able to flow to the ball, leaving Amos and Savage actually available to play all over the field. Both of them play up near the line, play in the middle of the field, play center field, and they're just hawking the ball. And Darnell Savage is a heck of a ball hawk, actually. And I think that Kirk Cousins is one of those guys who is primed for getting picked a bunch, right? Especially because they're going to be throwing a lot, I think, more than they hope. All right, so let's move on here to the fades. These are the guys that we are saying you should probably temper expectations or consider even sitting potentially.
Yeah, these are your potential usual starters each and every week. But this week we're saying, okay, let's pull back a little bit.
Yep.
My first quarterback one is we have Josh Allen against the New England Patriots. I mean, Allen started out on fire this year. Weeks 1 through 4, he was.
What did we warn? What were we warning about? We were saying his touchdown rate was too high. It was unsustainable. It was higher than what Lamar Jackson was doing last year. He was on pace for like 70 touchdowns, guys.
Yeah.
That
Lamar
wasn't
Jackson
had
like a 10% touchdown percentage rate. And I think Josh Allen was higher than that. So
he
kind of fell back down.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's fell back weeks 5 through 7. He's the 15th best quarterback in fantasy. And I mean, we're talking about Bill Belichick. Yes, their defense has been, very hit or miss. Just they're missing a lot of people, but I think Belichick is going to find a way to take away those big chunk plays that Allen was getting at the beginning of the season down the field. I think they're going to be able to take that away, and that's why I'm going to fade Josh Allen this week.
That's the one thing New England always tries to do is take away your one best thing. That's what
they were doing at the beginning of the season. Those big chunk plays. Who do you have as your fade?
I am going with Matt Stafford here. This is against Indianapolis, guys. This is a tough one. Indy allows the second least fantasy points to the quarterback position. Stafford has been off recently. It's not been good. Although they're going to struggle against Indy, the game is going to be close enough, I think, because Indy's offense hasn't been clicking very well, that I think what they're going to try to continue to do is really emphasize the run game a lot more. And so, that's a real problem. I think that, look, Stafford has one QB1 type of week this season, and he's not put up much beyond that. I think that trend's going to continue this week unless Marvin Jones figures it out or somebody else figures out how to become a wide receiver 2 on that team. They got another Marvin I saw get, totally whiff on a catch last week. That was Marvin Hall.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man.
Marvin Jones finally put up 80 yards last week.
He did. So
it was a non-scoring 80 yards, and the time is running out.
Yeah, and you need TDs. You need TDs out of Marvin Jones if you're going to be able to reliably put him into your lineup. All right, so let's go with the running back. Who are you fading?
James Conner. And going against Baltimore Ravens, and that's the reason why I'm fading him. It's not because of James Conner. It's all
he's been a beast this year, man.
He has. I mean, he's the Ravens are the third toughest against opposing, running back. So that's one of the biggest things, but he has been a beast. But it was slightly alarming that Benny Snell vultured a goal line touchdown last week. It also didn't help the fact that James Conner dropped a wide open pass right at the goal line as well. So that is
kind of like AJ Green dropping one in the end zone last week.
Yes. So it's once again, it's not based off talent. It's just based off of the situation, and that's why I'm going to be fading him. He's going to be like a low end running back too. If you can put him in a flex, holy crap! I would still be good with that. But who is your running back fade?
Running back, I'm going back to Detroit versus Indy, and I'm going with DeAndre Swift versus Indianapolis. Indy has the fifth best run defense, or the fifth best defense against the running back position by fantasy points. Indianapolis D hasn't been as solid. Has been a solid defense overall, but this is not the week to have Detroit players that you're relying on, guys. And this is just one of those. They've been too inconsistent. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot, but I don't think he's going to get much. It's going to be really difficult, and it's not like Indianapolis hasn't faced good running backs. They regularly do in the AFC South, right? They've got James Robinson, Derrick Henry, and
David Johnson.
I mean, even Green Bay kind of shut him down. So, yeah. I mean, we like David Johnson. We think that's a great opportunity down there, but he's not doing much with it. All right, let's go here to wide receiver. And what do you have?
All right, so this is a tough one for me because this is one of my favorite high motor guys, and that's Adam Thielen against Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Green Bay Packers defense is good against the pass, and they're equally worse against the run.
Yeah.
So kind of just mentioned that. You had a nice little segue there for me, but I mean, you had Dalvin as your running back start, and I think that's really the only chance the Vikings have a chance in this game is if they keep Rodgers on the sideline, keep him off the field, and that means controlling the clock, and that means running it. So,
well, they have to be able to stop him from scoring in less than 3 plays too.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
True. That's true. I mean, that would, step one.
Yeah.
Show up.
Step one, put the defense on the bus before you get to the
Yes. But I mean, that's why I think, you mentioned they're going to have to score a lot of points. I don't think the Vikings can actually keep up with them to score enough points. So if they really have a chance at this, they're going to have to really control the clock and just run the hell out of Dalvin Cook, which is kind of tough coming back from injury.
And this isn't Green Bay from a few years ago when Adam Thielen said, "Hey guys, have you heard of my name?" and put up like 200 plus yards, right? All right. You know what though? Davante Adams did that same thing, that same game, and the two of them were just going gangbusters on everybody. That was insane. There was like no defense being played. I thought it was a little more impressive what Adams did because the Vikings were supposed to be a good defense, whereas the Green Bay Packers defense, everybody knew it was Mike McCarthy defense. So I am going to go here and say DK Metcalf versus San Francisco. San Francisco has surprisingly allowed the third least fantasy points to the wide receiver position this year, despite looking really bad in the process. Like they've looked really bad, actually. I think part of that was Richard Sherman being out for a little while, though he is getting, old and slow, the elderly people in this country, old and slow and unsafe behind the wheel. They still do present value. Look, Metcalf disappeared against the Cards last week, who've not really been great against the wide receiver. And so when you start looking at what's been going on, Metcalf has been feasting on teams that are not really good against the wide receiver. So I think he falls back to where he should be, which is in the territory of a back-end wide receiver 2 a little bit more often going through the rest of the season here. I expect Metcalf to struggle again this week like he did last week. I'd be wary of him and the Seattle wide receivers generally for the next 3 weeks. These are going to be really rough weeks. They had a cake schedule for the first 6 games that they've played this season, and Metcalf only turned in 2 top 12 performances. So it's not like I'm going way out on a limb here to say that he's probably not going to be able to put up better than a wide receiver 3 week for you, but I don't even know if he's going to be able to do that. These next three weeks, he faces defense that are in the toughest 25% against the wide receiver. That's pretty darn tough. top 8 defenses against wide receiver. So I'm not just saying fade him this week. I'm saying fade him the next 3. It's going to be a rough run. All right, let's hit up tight end and let's get this going.
All right, tight end. I have Hunter Henry going against the Denver Broncos. Henry's only scored 1 touchdown this season. Yeah. All season long. And last week
he's due.
I don't know,
baseball. Man. Come on.
I don't know, man. I mean, he is one of my favorite tryhards, but like he turned 7 targets in week 7 into just 23 yards. 7 targets, 23 yards. Henry's finished as a top 12 tight end just once so far this season, and that was the week he scored a touchdown. And guess what? He only had 23 yards in that week as well. So it's like 23.
It's magic number. It's like 93 yards for him with the other guy.
Yeah, it was like you stop at 90. Well, Hunter Henry stops at 23. He's like, "What's up, MJ? I'm out." And he just sits out for the rest of the game or something. I just don't understand this one, man. He's got all the talent in the world and just not putting it out there.
Yep.
Who do you have as your tight end fade?
I'm going back to the well. I'm going to hit Detroit again against Indianapolis. Indianapolis allows the least points to the tight end position in the league, guys. Have you caught on that Indianapolis is not a team you want your guys playing against? So if you've got any of those guys going in the playoffs against Indianapolis, it's time to start looking to trade. So look, Hawkinson's been decent this year, right? He's had 4 of his 6 weeks so far, 4 of the 6 games that they've played. He's finished as a tight end 1. That's really, really pretty good for you. But the problem is that he's touchdown dependent really in those weeks to get to that level of tight end 1. He's had 4 weeks with a touchdown. And guess what? All 4 weeks, magically, he was a tight end 1. This is where the problem starts to come up. Okay. This is not a good chance for him this week. I cannot see how Detroit gets into the red zone often enough to give him enough opportunities to pad his low yardage numbers that are likely to occur so that he can perform as a tight end 1 for you this week. So though you have seen him balling out in different games, this is not the week to watch him do that. It's just not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to. And it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just being facetious. This is the best defense against tight end. This is the best. If there's anybody who's going to shut him down, it's this defense. And guess what? Other defenses have already done it. All right. So survivor picks, let's hit those up really quickly and we can get out of here. All right. What do you got, Justin? Who's your survivor pick?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going against the New York Football Giants. They're 80% chance of winning right now. That's their chance of winning. So that's why I think this is a really good one. It is being picked by a lot of different survivor leads, survivor players. The line currently is at -10.5. So I think this is a really good one. If you want to somewhat play it safe, Tampa Bay versus the Giants. Who do you have?
Yeah, I am going with Kansas City versus who else but the New York Jets. They are laying 19.5 points on them right now in Vegas, guys. The pick percentage of them is the highest of the week so far. So across all platforms for survivor picking, they are 34% selected. So if they blow this game somehow, that's a lot of people busting out. But their win percentage is 92.8% with that line there. And so even with that high percentage of people picking them, they still are a positive EV of about 16%. That means, look, you don't get EV of 16% in anything pretty much. Like you get in that kind of pot odds, you're taking the bet every time. So take the bet. This is the week to use Kansas City. I talked about them, I think last week or the week before, how I'm going to hold on to them because they face the Jets next week, or, I forget who it was.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going. Kansas City, you're going with Tampa Bay. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Starts, Streamers, and Fades for week 8. So hopefully we're able to help you out, make some decisions here. If not, make sure you put the question down in the comments below. We'll try to get you there. I'm going to throw onto the screen here our waiver wire episode from last week and this week, as this is when you got to start making that playoff push, guys. Start picking up players who are going to get you there. Start filling in those holes, especially because there are a lot of injuries this week, right? So yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified every time we upload this podcast. Thank you for being a fan of the Upside. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.